Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today doing a recap of our Week 3 victory against the Atlanta Falcons. Before we get started, just want to remind y'all, use speakpipe.com if you got a question or a comment. Leave a voice message, and that could end up on the show. Also, go to patreon.com if you like the content. Please consider supporting. All right, now, I already know people ain't going to want to hear this, but whatever. I mean, this is the same channel it's been for years. I'm going to tell you the truth. For all those people that are like, a win is a win. No, it is not. I've said that so many times this year because we went from Detroit without Kenny Golladay, and that went down to a complete drop of a pass for us to win. Then we went to the New York Giants without Saquon Barkley, and that went to a last goal line stand as well. And then we come to the Atlanta Falcons with pick your poison of who they didn't have. I mean, you start off without Julio, Deion Jones, and then you lose your best defensive player overall, Grady Jarrett, throughout the course of the game. Then you end up losing your best corner, who was playing a hell of a game, and Darqueze Dennard, and just on top of the injuries they had coming into it, and we eke by. So, I mean, yes, we are 3-0, but that is just on paper. When we all watch the game, we know what that is. And I never understand fans. Well, I guess those are just really casual fans that, oh, well, we won. You need to just celebrate that we won. No, that is not how anybody, any self-respecting person in football operates, especially coaches and anybody else. The fact of the matter is how you win is more important. And so because those things that are problems against teams you should beat, they become real big problems against teams that you shouldn't beat. And so it depends on the competition. And when the competition is teams that you should be beating or not relatively high, then you should be able to perform under those conditions. When you struggle against teams like that, well, then what do you think that means when you play top competition? So with all that being said, starting with the offense, as far as the grade, I'm going to give them C+. Now, I will say overall, the team, I give credit for them buckling down, because I think what our offense typically does is a little bit of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a little bit, because we're not great on offense, but we're pretty solid in the first quarter. Even in the years past, we've been pretty solid in the first half. But then what tends to happen is, as the game goes on, we become real ineffective. A lot of 3-and-outs, we don't do much. And that's what you started to see with this game. But then the offense was able to turn it around. Now, that coincides with injuries on defense. And then, of course, Nick Foles will get to that. Actually, I'll say that to the end. But so I give us credit for buckling down. Defense as well, where we typically, well, I wouldn't say typically, but we were starting to we started off like letting up big plays, and it definitely seemed like we couldn't get a handle on the Falcons offense without Julio, but then we adjusted and played a little better. So I'll give us all that credit. And I mean, there's definitely credit for winning the game, but overall it is what it is. So offense, I'm going C+. Like I said, it was real sputtery for a minute. And then even when Nick Foles came in, we still had issues. And that's not just on the quarterbacks, like the receiver, like we led the league in drops as a unit. And then looking at some of the film this year, we were dropping the ball again. And today we were dropping the ball. Now, it's not exclusively drop passes. It's a little bit of everybody. I said this exact same thing last year because it's true. You got obviously the offensive line, as far as our tackles, not protecting as best as we could, not to mention the miscommunications with the running backs and pass pro. Running back's not pass protecting is great either. David Montgomery, despite having a lot of good ability, sometimes his vision's not great. Offensive line, obviously not always great in the run blocking. Drop passes, bad passes. Like, it's a little bit of combination of everybody. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's just that, but the drop passes were really hurting us. But again, we buckled down and I think showed, which we should, against the Falcons, who's the 31st ranked defense, even before the injuries. We showed that when our receivers can get out and we give them out in open space, we can, we got route runners. Allen Robinson's a route runner and a 50-50 guy. Anthony Miller's a route runner. Mooney's a route runner. We can get out in space, and it looks good. So definitely big ups to us towards the end. And then Jimmy Graham, bro. I mean, look, you go to my video. I said I don't know about the money because I wouldn't exactly say that I forecast contracts for tight ends, especially mid-level. But what I do know is that for all these people who have said Jimmy couldn't play anymore, I'm like, bro, first of all, y'all got to understand the nature of tight ends, and I'm not going to get into it a lot. But as I've said in a lot of my film, the nature of tight ends is just boxing people out, bro. It's not that hard. There's a reason they keep converting basketball players. Now, blocking and all that, that's different. But as far as being a catching tight end, especially in the end zone, it's not that hard. And so to say Jimmy still couldn't do it, I mean, Jimmy hasn't high-pointed the ball like he used to in New Orleans, but, he still can be a red zone threat. So, I mean, you look at – and now also there's the point of them forcing the ball to him because I still, again, think Shaheen and anybody else could do this. Maybe not Burden because he was little, but I still think they could have did it. We just never, ever ran these type of plays for them. I mean, I've done the film the last few years. We've never ran these type of plays. But either way, he's paid off dividends. So just funny notion for people who's talking so hard against Jimmy Graham. But anyway, so yeah, overall, a C+. Not too much different than what I've seen before. Especially with adjustments, I'm still wondering, when are we going to adjust better in game? I think we come out, I think the reason our first drive usually looks so much better is because you come out with a script on the first drive. Like, you studied it up. This is what you think you're going to get. Let's run this script. But then when they adjust, it just seems like we haven't been good at adjusting. So, anyway, that's just something to watch. All right, so going to the defense. I'm going to give them a B. Nothing too terrible. I think especially that first big play to Ridley and all that, that's stuff that we're not good at. I mean, as I said, we haven't seen Jalen Johnson versus speed yet. And even if it's not speed, man coverage is not going to be our forte for any of our corners. That's just not where we're going to be best at. Now, obviously, off of play action and all that's a little tighter formation, so you think you could get away with it, but then they go vertical on you. And so that's just some of the stuff we're not good at. But as the game went on, I think we adjusted our zones a little bit. Went more to a quarters and cover 2 look, which I don't honestly, and I've said it in film the last few weeks, I don't know why we run so much cover 3. I really don't. We're not that great at it. Our line, Roquan, bless his heart, Roquan is much better. He still can't get off blocks. He's not a downhill linebacker, but he is so good. He is so underrated in coverage and what he can do. Trevathan's not there no more. He's just not there anymore. And so cover 3 is really tough because really the only middle defenders you have over the field are the linebackers. And Trevathan has shown he's not been good in space this year. So I was just like, why are we running so much cover 3? Not to mention we don't have a strong safety. And so having one of our safeties in the box is just counterproductive. Really, we should be running cover 2 all the time. And so anyway, we adjusted. We kept things in front of us, which is when we're good. The same thing with the pass rush. Now, they even had a backup right tackle, Khalil Mack. I'm not gonna get into Khalil Mack right now because I'm gonna go to the film. I feel the same way I did last year. Obviously, the ability's there. The motor's not always there. I'm not sure what's wrong with him, but he is not the constant pressure that he should be. And so either way, we started to pick up the pressure a little bit, getting a little like once we felt like we were in it, the defense started getting a little hungrier. And definitely I think the defense kept us in it because, I mean, they went up on us, but shoot, like they should have went up way more. But not only were they limited to field goals, eventually they just kept punting. And so shout out to the defense. But like I said, we did a good adjustment there. And we adjusted sometimes on the blitz. What I feel like for the defense, I feel that we need to blitz more because, again, we're max coverage. We're like 4 straight up and go. Even though we do we do some games a lot. We definitely do a defensive end D-tackle stunt or twist, really, where Khalil Mack pins inside and the interior guy goes out. Honestly, that's trash. Like nobody's been beat by that this year. There's some times in the first year or so where it was like, okay, yeah, I see it, but I'm just not a fan of stunts. Like me personally, schematically, if you're going to drop your linebackers in the coverage because they're just really good at coverage and we're going to play max coverage, then you need to have people that can win one-on-one edge rushing matches. And if you don't, then you can't play max coverage. Now, add on top of that, we got a linebacker who is no longer good at that coverage. You can bring in Bush on third downs. You can do different things to kind of offset that. But as I've said for now 3 seasons, we don't have that pass rush. I mean, Quinn, I don't know if he's 100%. I think he's better than any other options, but he's not the consistent pressure either. It was funny, too, because he beat the rookie Andrew Thomas on one of those little jump moves he does. And I'm just like, I don't like that move. I would never teach that move. And so somebody's like, oh, well, look at that. And then I saw one play. Obviously, people aren't going to watch this. But it was early in the game. He did that jump move, and I don't know who their left tackle was starting today, but he put him down. He caught my mans and put him into the ground. It was hilarious. But either way, Robert Quinn can do some things, but he's not that consistent pass rushing threat that can really offset what we're losing with Mack. And so because of that, you get teams that have forever to throw the ball. I mean, Matt Ryan's pretty good. I would say like a B+ at moving in the pocket. But even with that, he did have a lot of time. And so we just don't have it on the pass rush, which I've said for 3 years. And so I think we have to blitz, especially when we're in a situation where we know our offense isn't going to move the ball. We might have to be more of a blitzing team. And I told you I hate the odd front. And then people are like, well, the Steelers and the other teams, they do it and they're good. But you got to watch how they do it. They do it differently. We don't mix it up a ton. Like, rarely do we mix it up. We don't do a lot of different fronts. When we come out in our odd front, it is mostly base, like 0-4 technique, 4 technique, edges. Sometimes last year, I haven't seen it this year, we'll do where we have Khalil Mack and the other pass rusher on the same side, which Steelers do a little bit. But that's rare. We don't mix it up a lot, and we don't blitz a lot. We play max coverage a lot, which is all cool, except the fact, as I said, we aren't getting there as a pass rushing threat. And when you got to stop teams, especially when you don't want teams going vertical on you, you got to start putting pressure on them. And so, look, Eddie Jackson's fast. Roquan's super explosive as a blitzer. Tayshaun Gibson looks pretty good. Trevathan too. I don't think there's no reason we couldn't blitz. Like, I don't really like the slot blitzes which screen that much, but I think we can do some more creative stuff with everybody else. And I know everybody's like, well, Chuck Pagano, and he's gonna, yeah. Well, he didn't. He wasn't. He didn't really increase our blitzing percentages. He didn't really move a whole lot. And I know, again, there was this idea of trying to keep what Fangio had, but I told y'all, I was not I'm not saying we were a flash in the pan, but that year had its own circumstances, and you have to see if you can produce against different environments. And that season, we had a really weak schedule, and we obviously have shown that we were not able to sustain that type of success. And so people figured us out a little more. But at the same time, I think, that Fangio stuff is out the window. Let Pagano be more creative, because at this point we need to. And a few times we were, as far as blitzing, it worked out well. And, like, I'm not a blitzer if you're talking about me as a coach. I'm a max coverage type guy. But that's because I'm a D-line guy by trade, and I believe I could coach people up to get pass rush. But I understand in the league that's very hard, and I understand you have to blitz sometimes, and I'm not like a fan of blitzing 40% of the time. But if that's the roster we got, then we need to start making that work. Otherwise, get Trevathan off the field. I mean, they tried to bring Iggy in earlier. I don't know if somebody was hurt, but he got toasted for the touchdown. And he's quicker and all, but yeah, man, it's just tough. But we kind of are who we are, and I think if we stick to the things that work best for us and not try to get too cute, that I think will be solid. But there are times when we get behind the 8 ball where I think we got to be a little more creative. All right, so with all that being said, the Nick Foles thing. So here's what happened. I had to do something for work, so I left right when halftime started. I don't even understand why it took so long, but by the time I got back, we were down 26-10, and Nick Foles was in. I think I came back with like 6 minutes left in the third quarter. So I missed whatever transpired to Nick Foles coming in. I did catch the whole touchdown interception thing, and to me, I think that was an interception. He pulled it away before they landed, but either way, I'm like, oh, okay, Nick Foles is in. Whoa. So I can't really speak what all led up to that. I'll watch some film and see. But what I can talk about, which is what everybody wants to know, is what was the difference. Now, first of all, Foles went 3 touchdowns. We came back from behind and won. And so already I see it very hard to say that Trubisky's going to start next game. Because, sometimes, like Justin Herbert, it's like, well, somebody steps in, they do well because of the circumstance, but then they're like, okay, no, we're still going to stick with, our starter or whatever. And so I don't think that's going to happen here. It would just be too much backlash. But so that's out of the way. I think we got Foles going forward. And I think Trubisky is going to become a red zone quarterback, much like Mariota was. That's my guess. But anyway, so the question goes back to what was the difference? And obviously there were some struggles. Me personally, I think that the struggles came from a lack of chemistry. Like, people use that word, I think, too often, and now people don't really get what it means. Chemistry is important. And like this lack of off season, and then coming into the first year with your receivers, chemistry is very, very important for the quarterback. 100% is for the quarterback, because you get a guy like Trubisky whose confidence isn't great, and you see what happened. Once he had chemistry with Allen Robinson, that's darn near all he threw to. And so chemistry is very important, but that's where miscommunications come from. I've seen like at least 4 passes from Foles where he was trying to back shoulder it and the receivers had no idea. Like Trubisky never back shoulder passes it. That's just not what we've done. But you could see where the corner or whoever gets on top of the receiver, instead of trying to throw it up to him, Foles was throwing it behind for a back shoulder, and they just weren't used to it. So things like that end up working out over time once you have chemistry. So I think some struggles are there. I mean, because of the lack of chemistry, lack of, time together, that's going to happen. I also think he was juiced up a little bit trying to come from behind. But then as he settled, what I feel is that the biggest thing is he makes decisions. He's more decisive. There we go. He is much more decisive than Trubisky. Sometimes to a fault, but it seems that he knows exactly where he wants to go before the ball snaps. And that's darn near exactly what I said when I did the comparison film over the offseason. You can tell he's more veteran in that way, and that his pre-snap reads is a lot better. So he knows where he wants to go. There's still issues of accuracy, and those types of things, but his ability to stay in the pocket and throw through pressure, his ability to get the ball out of his hand quick, his ability to read what's happening, still pretty good. And I think he's more aggressive as well. Trubisky, which he started to see he was trying to take shots. And to Trubisky's credit, he's gotten a lot better with his accuracy because he always missed long. Every single time he missed long. And that's just what it was. But recently I've seen like he misses, but he misses a lot closer to the mark. Or it might be he might miss long, but not by 5-6 yards. It's by like a couple yards. So he's been working on his touch and it's gotten a little better. But this game, he was just throwing it up. I was like, these dudes are clearly covered. He was just really throwing it up. And I thought sometimes it was just like most of Trubisky stuff, it's kind of artificial aggressiveness. It's not him really being aggressive. It's just the play call. They told him to do it. Where I think Foles is much more of a decisive person. He's going to take the chances on his own. So, upgrade? I don't know. I mean, if this was Madden, I say Trubisky's a 74 and Foles is a 77. So, but obviously there's going to be a lot of talk about how they came back and all that. But I'm telling you right now that no, I'm not going, jumping up and down for it like some of y'all. That was a really rough game on both sides. The Falcons look just undisciplined and we just look unprepared. Like not only the in-game adjustments, but some of the stuff we run, I'm just like, it looks like we've ran it a few times in practice. And the thing is, I know coaches like that on all levels that I've met and talked with, or people that have worked with these coaches, that they will run a play a couple times and try to run it in the game. And so sometimes it just feels like that to me. And I'm not a big fan of that. I really wish we had, and I was going to say I wish we had more bread and butter plays, but I guess we kind of do. Like I'm at the point where some of these formations, I know exactly what pass routes we're going to run. So I guess we kind of do, but maybe they're just not the ones I like, I guess. Maybe that's what it is. But it's sometimes our execution is just like, how are we still making the same mistakes, especially when it's any type of screens? Like, our screen game to the receivers is trash. Like, bro, how often do y'all work on this? Because it looks like this is the first time y'all doing it. But anyway, so overall, yeah, sloppy game, mistakes. As far as the calls, like the roughing the passer, it was roughing the passer. He hit him in the head. I mean, they're going to call that. I mean, I don't like the roughing the passer rules, but that is what the rule is. So, yes, that was a correct call. But that was a good hit by Khalil. That was one of the times where he actually came with it. And I told y'all from the day he got here, just dip the shoulder. That's all you need. Stop running into people. Dip the shoulder, ride the corner. Anyway, that interception, as I said, I think that was an interception. He took it away from him. But yeah, it was just sloppy football on both sides. And then I think we just won the war of attrition. They started getting hurt, getting deflated, but I think the defense did a good job. So mentally, that's a big win to stick through and finish it. But overall, that's a team that we should not have struggled that bad with. So we'll see. We'll see what is in store for us going forward. But I feel like, honestly, we're the team that I've been saying we've been for a while. And to me, Nick Foles is an interesting shift. But overall, I really think we just got to, I wouldn't say blow it up, but we got to make some big changes to this team if we're going to be a competitor. I think we do need to make some big changes, me personally. So anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. Remember, stay up and bear down.